Every so often, a product doesn't look great on paper, but in practice, it's just wow. And that's what I've noticed with the new Javelot Mini by Olight. Welcome back to Shoe Lights. The new Javelot Mini is just an interesting light because it doesn't look that much better than existing lights, but then there's just a couple things about it that in use make me just kind of go, I really like this light. So Olight is positioning this as a long-range EDC flashlight, so an EDC pocket thrower. And so we're going to look at it versus my other favored pocket throwers. And if you've seen my videos before, you know that the ThruNite TN12 Pro is my recommended pocket thrower. It's just small, throws really well. It's got the SST40 in it. It's just a great interface, dual interface. A lot to like about this light. Here is a KR1 by Hank Wang, but this has been modified with an SBT90. You can now get these from Hank Wang. He'll make the SBT90 now. He didn't used to. This was modified back in the day before he did it. And it's solid copper, which is fitting because the SBT90.2 is a beast of an emitter and it creates a ton of heat. This is definitely kind of a hot rod flashlight. So we'll take a look at all three of these outside and kind of see how they're related. Let's take a look at what's in the box. As usual, Olight has amazing boxes. They got this little insert here that comes out of the way, and on the inside you got the manual. And this is where, right here, is where this holster fits. This holster has a very unique shape, and the flashlight, of course, was in that holster, but I removed everything when I started testing. It does come with an MCC charging cable, which I have out right here. And so it's a full kit, comes with a battery and everything to get you going and the charging. It does expect that you have a USB port somewhere because the MCC requires a USB port. But if the port supports 2 amps, so does the MCC itself. It'll go 1 amp, 1.5, or 2 amps. One really nice thing about this holster is kind of an interesting, it's kind of a composite, it's some sort of plastic. It feels reinforced. It feels real tough, kind of something you'd see, for a utility belt. It's nice. And it just kind of clicks in like this. And one thing that I thought was really awesome is, if you've seen my videos before with Olight, I actually love the magnetic charging just because at night I can just go whoop, and it just sucks in like that. Well, the thoughtful engineers over Olight said, hey, maybe you want to do it like this. So that's a clever thing that you can still charge right through the holster. Let's take a look at a size comparison. We saw this a little earlier in the intro. It is definitely pocket size. These are 3 pocket throwers. It's got the largest head of these 3. So if you don't like having kind of bulky lights in your pocket, this might be a negative for this light. But I don't find this in actual practice any more cumbersome than a KR1. And I do find KR1s a little on the big side, but I didn't notice this to be any bigger. It's made out of aluminum. It's lightweight. This is a chunky copper, so this weighs me. This one actually feels worse in my pocket, but if these were both aluminum, I'm sure they'd feel very similar. And they're both tail switches, so that's fitting. The ThruNite TN12 Pro, as I said, is really hard to beat with its dual switch design and its SFT40. It just puts out a ton of lumens, very lightweight. It's got built-in charging right here via its flappy doodle. So great light. But let's take a quick look at this UI. The UI is one of my favorites on Olight, actually. It's got the tactical switch on the back here, and it's a 2-step or 2-stage press. You can do half press to get to its low, and then a harder, clicky full press to get to the high. And I like that because it's really predictable. If you want high, you just click in, you go to it. You want low, you just kind of half press and you go in. And I like that, it's like a shortcut to the two modes that it has. Looking at the light itself ergonomically, the style of it, I just really like. I don't know how to articulate why I like it so much, except for to say that it just looks and feels cool. I like the shape of it. It looks modern. It's grippy, but it doesn't feel bad in my hand. It's got this tail that's very similar to my favorite EDC of all time, which is it's got this kind of bomb tail on the back here where you can kind of cigar hold it really easily. And you see that same thing going on here. It's just really easy just to operate back here like that. It's really lightweight. It's got an attractive bezel. I like the color scheme. Olight's known for really amazing color schemes, so I'm sure others will come out soon. The anodizing is kind of almost a satin black. I wouldn't say matte, but satin. It's got this kind of sheen, but it's definitely not glossy. It's just a really attractive light. I really love it. And when you look in here, the most important thing is that the emitter is a round emitter. Let's take a look at that on the microscope. You can see here that I've got an SFT40 right now. This SFT40 is a very standard square emitter, but take a look at the Javelot emitter. It's a round phosphor surface, and that does something special to the beam. And I think that's why I love this light so much. I mean, I already love the ergonomics. I love the way it looks. I love the UI and the tail switch. But then the beam, well, let's go outside and take a look at the beam in a moment, and you'll see why I love this thing so much. But before we do go outside, let's talk about its specs. Since this is a thrower, I'm not going to put a lot of time into its tint. I don't think that's an important thing. But I will point out that on its low mode, it is quite a green, quite above BBL at 163. But I don't know that really matters for a thrower. I mean, I've got dedicated throwers with Osram W2 greens in them precisely because our eyes see green so well, and they do amazingly better than the white ones. So again, I don't think it's a big deal. On high, I noticed that this shrunk to about 60 over BBL. And I also noticed that the CCT was a little sub 6,000 here on low, and then on high, it was about 6,500, almost 7,000. On the lumen tube, which I'll just tell you my findings, the Olight claims that this light is 1,000 lumens, and I found that the low mode was bang on 200 lumens and held just perfectly over ANSI, and that the high mode started at 1020 lumens and slowly dropped about 1 lumen every second, roughly. And at ANSI, at 30 seconds, it was exactly 1,000 lumens. I've never had that happen before, so it was kind of exciting. It felt like winning a flashlight jackpot to get 1,000 lumens, which is what was on the box, exactly with my sample and my lumen tube. So clearly, with how slowly the lumens were dropping, this must be a regulated driver and a good one. So the Javelot comes with its own battery. It's a Olight proprietary battery, and it's of an kind of an odd size. It's an 18500. You don't normally see that. It's about 2,000 milliamp hours, and it does have the modification that Olight likes to do where both poles are on one side, but it's got the physical protection from reverse polarity, so it's not going to start any problems if you put it in the wrong way. It just won't light up. If you don't like proprietary batteries, this would not be a good light for you because it requires this proprietary light for charging and to operate. For all the modders out there, I'm happy to report that this bezel was just finger tight, and you can unscrew it, and then the glass comes out, and then the reflector just drops out, and you have easy access to the MC PCB, just 2 solder points, and it comes out, and you can do emitter swap. But you know what? I don't know that I would, because this emitter is kind of unique. and I really love the way it looks, so I can't bear myself to remove it. It's got this great beam profile that I really want to keep in here. Okay, we're outside. Let's get some beam shots. Let's start out with the venerable ThruNite TN12 Pro. We'll go straight to turbo on those palm trees 150 meters away. You can see it lights up all 4 palm trees at the end of the street. And let's take a look at it on this nearby tree. Now let's take a look at the KR1 SBT 90.2. Go straight to turbo. There we go. And you can see it's a similar beam. Pretty floody. Getting everything at the end of the street there, 150 meters. By the way, it's already hot in my hand. That's how much of a monster this emitter is. But now let's take a look at the Javelot Mini. So we'll go straight to turbo and look how kind of like surgical it is. And here's where you're going to start to notice what I love about this light is that the hotspot almost seems like the circle, the well-defined, even circle of a theatrical spotlight. It's a really cool effect. Let's take a look at some nearby trees. Let's take a look at the difference of the beam between a traditional square emitter on this electrical pole here and these trees versus the Javelot Mini. And here's the Javelot Mini, and you can see it's just this very cool beam. It's not like an LEP. It's because there still is spill, and you can see the spill right here, but it's like all centered around that very circular hotspot, and it's really focused. It just has a really unique look to it that I don't find with the other lights that I have. So it's just a really cool look, and it's one of my new favorite EDC throwers. This Javelot Mini is just too fun. I just love holding it. I love using it. I love the way the beam looks. Again, I don't know how to explain why I like it so much, except just to say that I do. Notably, it is green, so if you're a tint snob, you shouldn't get this light. It's got the proprietary battery, so that is a roadblock for some. As I've stated in other videos, I'm an iPhone user, and I'm used to proprietary batteries. It's nothing new, but I love the magnetic charging. I'm a sucker for easy stuff like that, and as I said, it just is too much fun to use. If you are interested in getting one of these, all the information about Olight's upcoming sale and when this launches is in the description of my video below, and the links there are affiliate links. So if you click on those and purchase, it helps out the channel greatly, and I thank you. And with that, I will see you in the next video.